Hello and welcome to today's math lesson. Today we are going to be doing lots of review on linear equations. So whether we're talking about slope, y-intercept, x-intercept, point slope form, slope-intercept form, parallel lines, perpendicular lines. So we're going to be reviewing all of those concepts. So your job today is to take notes on everything. So copy down every problem and then get that handed in. All right, let's get started. What is the slope? So this is an equation that is in slope-intercept form, and slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And remember, m stands for the slope, and B stands for the y-intercept. So now that I have those underlined, what I usually do would be blank x plus blank. So what number is in front of x? This number right here, that is going to represent our slope, so that our slope is 2/3. Then we have at the end, right here, this is going to represent the y-intercept. So our y-intercept in this particular equation is a -8. All right, so what is the x-intercept? What is the y-intercept? So if you recall, the x-intercept is where this line is coming through and crossing the x-axis. So what point is that line crossing the x-axis? And it's coming through at this point right here. So the x-intercept is 3. Now if we write that as an ordered pair, it would be 3, 0. What is the y-intercept? Well, that's where the line's crossing the y-axis. And in this particular case, the y-intercept is 6, and that ordered pair is 0, 6. So that was number 2. So make sure you're labeling your problems. Number 3, write this equation in slope-intercept form. So remember, that's what I just wrote, y equals mx plus b. So y equals blank x plus blank. So we're looking for the slope, and slope is 1/2. That's what goes in this first blank. And the second blank is the y-intercept, -7. So we could write y equals 1/2 x minus 7, or you could write plus a -7. Most academic books are going to write it this way so that you don't have the plus minus sign. Number 4, okay, you give this a try. So stop the video and see if you can give this a try. If not, then just resume the video and then we'll have 2 examples of this one. So writing an equation in slope-intercept form. So y equals blank x plus blank. And we know in this first blank goes slope, and they actually tell us the slope is 3, so we can fill that in. Now what we're looking for is the y-intercept. So where would this line be crossing the y-axis? Well, this is your x value, and this is a y value. So we can substitute in place of y a -7, and in place of x is 2, so we can fill that in. And now we're just going to do our math and solve this equation. So we have to multiply these together first. So -7 equals 6 plus b. Now to solve and get b by itself, we need to move the 6. So we're going to subtract 6. So it looks like I'm getting -13 for my y-intercept. So go fill in your blank and write -13. Now they probably would not write that plus a minus, so y equals 3x minus 13. All right, so this problem, these directions are basically the same thing. So this is number 5. Make sure you're labeling your problems. So stop this video, give it a try, and then resume it and see if you can do this. So we've got y equals blank x plus blank. So we know that our slope here, they tell us, is 1/2. This is your x value. This is your y value. So in place of y, we're putting a 10. In place of x, we're putting a -8. And we are going to solve for b. So 10 equals, and 1/2 of -8, so use your calculators, but half of -8 is a -4. And now to solve this, that says minus 4, so we're going to do the opposite operation, and we're going to add 4. So we get 14 equals B. So now we're going to go fill in this blank and put in a 14. All right, number 6. So what is the equation in point slope? So point slope is going to take y minus whatever your y value is equals the slope. Then you're going to take x minus whatever your x value is. So basically x1, y1 comes from a point. So we have the point right here. And this is the x and this is the y. Now remember, the formula is y minus something. And what this y value is right here is a negative 8. So when we have minus a negative, that's really y plus 8. So you may recall when we were doing point slope, I would say if you see a negative 8, the final answer is going to have a plus 8 in it. Okay, now we're looking for slope, and they tell us the slope is 5. And then we have x minus. Okay, so we're going to fill in our 5, and we have x minus. Now we have to find this y or x value, and the x value here is 5, so we can just put in a 5. Well, there's nothing fancy here, so we're just going to write x minus 5. All right, so you can see that x is a positive 5, but in the final, we've got the negative 5 here. This is a negative 8 in the formula, or in the ordered pair, and then in the equation, we have the plus 8. All right, you give this one a try and see if you can write this in point slope form. So this is x, this is y. So y, because that's a minus 9, it ends up being minus a negative 9. So I end up writing y plus 9. Next we write our slope is 17. And then we would write x, and because that's a plus 5, we're going to write minus 5. So this is the equation. Now, if they ask you from this equation, what's the slope? You would say 17. And what's a point? Well, make sure you write your x value first. And because this is a negative 5, we're going to write 5. Because that's a 9, we're going to write negative 9. So we could go backwards to the point. All right, write an equation in point slope, then into slope intercept. Okay, so let's start with that point slope again. This is x, this is y. So this is the one I'm going to use first. Y minus 5 equals, and then my slope, negative 1/3. X, and because that's a 12, it'll be minus 12. All right, so that is your point slope right there. So if they wanted you, you could stop right there in point slope, but they want slope intercept. So what we're going to do next is distribute. So y minus 5 equals, and we're going to distribute, so we get negative 1/3 x. And now negative times a negative is a positive, and 1/3 of 12 is 4. Then the next thing is we either add or subtract because we need to get y by itself, and it has that minus 5 there. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 9. Now what you can do is you can tell me what the y-intercept is. So what is the y-intercept? In point slope you couldn't, but now you can tell me that that y-intercept is a 9. The slope stayed the same. The slope is still negative 1/3. Oh, I forgot to label what problems that was. So that's 6. This one was 7. My apologies. This one is 8. And now we must be on 9. So they want us to practice the same kind of thing. So start in point slope, then put in slope intercept. So stop the video, give this a try, and then turn it back on again. So we've got y minus 12 equals your slope 4, and this is going to be x plus 6. So now we're going to distribute. So my minus 12, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 6 is 24. All right, now we're going to have to add 12 to both sides. So it looks like y equals 4x plus 36. So the y-intercept here is 36. All right, number 10. What point does this equation go through? So it wants you to pull out a point. Well, we know that slope is 6, because remember, that's always in front. And we write an ordered pair, it's x comma y. Now remember, the formula is x minus, so the number that's left here is 11. And if this is supposed to be a 5, that would be y minus a negative 5. So we've got y minus, and the number we need is a negative 5. So the ordered pair or point that this equation goes through is 11, negative 5. All right, parallel and perpendicular lines. So what do we know about parallel lines? Well, parallel lines have the same slope. So in this equation, what is the slope? Remember, the slope's in front of x, so this is 5. So any line that is going to be parallel to that has to have the same slope. So we can start with y equals 5x, and now what we're looking for is that y-intercept. So this is x, this is y. So in place of y, we put 7. In place of x, we put a negative 2, and we're looking for that y-intercept. So 7 equals negative 10 plus b, and now we're solving this equation to get b by itself. So we're going to add 10, and we get our y-intercept to be 17. So we go fill this in, and we get a 17. Some of you might want to do this in point slope, so you might want to write y minus 7 equals your slope 5, and x plus 2. So now you're going to distribute just like we did in that last one. And we're going to add 7, so we end up at the same thing. These are just two different methods to get to the same answer. You can see same answer right here. All right, so this one wants to know perpendicular. So we can start at the same, y equals blank x plus blank. We know this is x, this is y, so we can put our 14 in here. I need my slope, and my x is negative 6. Now, why I'm hesitating or not filling this in right now is because my slope, remember perpendicular slopes. If this slope is negative 1/2, the perpendicular one, two things have to happen. You have to flip it and change signs. So if this one is a negative 1/2, the new one has to be a positive, and we flip this. So instead of 1 being on the top, the 1 goes on the bottom. Instead of the 2 going on the bottom, the 2 goes on the top. Well, 2 divided by 1 is 2. So this slope of the perpendicular line is 2. And now we've got 14 equals negative 12 plus b. So I'm going to add 12. And it looks like I'm going to get 26 for my y-intercept. So the big thing in perpendicular is, remember, we're going to flip that sign. Okay, flip it. So if I'm just doing a side note, if something else is 3/4, the perpendicular slope would be opposite sign. So this one has to be negative, and then flip this. So 4 goes on top, 3 goes on the bottom. All right, this I believe is the last question that we're doing. So find the slope. I keep forgetting to write down what problem we're on. So this one is 11. We just did 12. And now the last one we're going to do is 13. So finding the slope is y1 minus y2 all over x1 minus x2. So take your y values and subtract them. So most of you are going to put the bigger number first, 15 minus 9. Now because I did 15 minus 9, I absolutely positively have to do 7 minus a negative 3. So 15 minus 9 is a 6, and 7 minus a negative is a plus 3, so that's 10. Now these are both even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. So we get 3/5. Now, that should be it for this review. If you need to, go back and copy anything down. Thank you. Have a good day.